Started or not. All right. Looks like we're live now. So welcome everybody and welcome Rebecca. Thank you so much for being here. My name
Happy to
is
be here.
Yeah, absolutely. My name is Caroline Lee Dewey, for those of you who don't know me. And this is my Compassionate Leaders series. So I'm really excited to be sharing this with you all. Rebecca is a somatic healing coach and a social entrepreneur. She helps people to get unstuck from unconscious limitations and to help people heal, transform, and meet their full potential. She offers one on one coaching and she also hosts an amazing online community for virtual instruction on all things yoga and meditation and personal growth. So, welcome, Rebecca. I'm so glad to have you here. And my first question for you is what are you most passionate about? What really lights you up?
Well, first of all, Caroline, thank you so much for, finding me and reaching out and inviting me into this podcast series. Compassion is a really big deal in my life. I am passionate about compassion. So I love talking about all of it. I'm actually doing a talk later today about, practicing self-compassion, especially during the holidays, during COVID, during the election right now. And I think that's a big part of the work that I do. The thing that lights me up the most, self-compassion is part of it. And the thing that lights me up the most is watching people break through layers of unconscious core beliefs and things that they never thought that they could do. So watching people do the things that they've always wanted to do, but thought they couldn't.
Mhm.
And, so I'm passionate really about, being a mirror. My dog's coming to join me. Um, Being a mirror for people's best self,
Mhm.
so like showing them what I see. And I
Mhm.
really see what people can grow into once they believe that they can do that. So that's what I'm most passionate about is being that like really loving mirror, both
Mhm.
for what I see as the unconscious core beliefs and conditioning that holds people back, and then
Mhm.
watching that breakthrough process happen. It's very much a collaboration. It could only be done with that willing participation and sort of partnership and collaboration with somebody else. So I'm passionate too about this work that is very much like level playing field.
Mhm.
We're not in a power dynamic where I'm like looking down and saying, I think you should do this. It's really more of me like supporting and
Mhm.
saying, I see this in you that you're saying or doing. And so yeah, I love that reflective process, that mirroring and that process of transformation that I'm blessed and privileged to be a part of facilitating.
Yeah, that's awesome. And
Thank
I
you.
totally resonate with that. It's just, I always get so emotional when I tell people about what I do because it feels like such a blessing and an honor to be like a witness for people as they go through their transformations and to be able to help people through that, like you said, from that, human to human kind of place. It's so great, so juicy and
Hmm.
delicious.
Well, yeah, I mean, part of that is just that each person is their own expert in
Yeah.
themselves, their psyche, what they need, what they didn't get that they needed. All of that is very much, uniquely driven by each individual's phases and processes of development, which are so unique. And there are
Yeah.
universal components, like in that healing map that I shared with you. So there's universal layers, and that's it. The rest is entirely unique to each of us.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. So I would love to hear more about you too. Like, what is your story? Or have you always been doing this work? Or what was it that made you decide to kind of take this path as an entrepreneur and share your gifts and your training with the world?
It's really been a process of kind of life happening to me and me responding and becoming more empowered with every step.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of all began about 6 years ago when my life changed significantly. I had a big loss in the form of a really painful divorce. And it just felt like my worst nightmare. And a friend of mine, looked at me and she said, "This is transformational." And I looked at her and I was like, really? Because I thought this was just my worst freaking nightmare, you know? And it was such a paradigm shift for me. And the experience of that shift, of just somebody taking you and just nudging you a couple of degrees and being able to tackle life differently as a result of that, was so profoundly powerful, that I realized in that moment, you know, what I wanted to support others in doing once I got my own stuff together, you know. So I went through my own healing process, that, you know, happened to also include a yoga teacher training starting shortly after this painful breakup. And just getting deep into the body mind practices of meditation, of yoga. I stumbled into a mindfulness based meditation group and found my meditation teacher and learned all about the four abodes of the heart that are the foundation of all of the work that I do. Compassion is one of those four abodes. They create this foundation, like this toolkit that I help clients build of resourcing. And so, you know, my approach to healing really was one that started with my own healing process. And it continued into a somatic psychotherapy training, a mindfulness based somatic psychotherapy training that I did over 2 years, that helped me kind of get better at what I was already natural at doing. You know, I was leading people in private yoga sessions and just watching and sensing these shifts happen with just the words, the supportive words that I shared. And I was like, I'm doing something and I should be responsible and get some training in what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And so it's just been this like unfolding. And the more that I learn, the more that I kind of grow into, a more peaceful, joyful, authentic version of myself. And the more that I do that, the more that I can be that mirror without any
Yeah.
of my own projections or clouding for other people. I'll say the final piece of like my unfolding, my learning, my journey. Last summer, I got a deep download on the Polyvagal Theory, which I mentioned to you very briefly. And the crux of that is that we can't do this stuff alone. Like I said to you the other day, and I say it a lot, like, I can't see my face. I can see like a facsimile of my face. I can see a reflection of my face in a mirror, but I will never see my own face, and I will never see my unconscious core beliefs and my unconscious conditioning. Like that takes support. That takes a mirror. That takes, you know, something outside of myself to help me unearth the things that hold me back. And that's the same for each of us, is that we can't and shouldn't do everything alone. There's a lot we can and should do alone with respect to, you know, getting our resources together, you know, learning what it feels like to return to that grounded, peaceful state and study ourselves through mindfulness throughout our lives. And there comes to a point where you need support from other people. So I think that was the final really important piece for me, was that co-regulation piece, that co-healing piece. I'm really passionate about healing together. You know, the tagline for Embody You, the online healing community that I've recently created, is we feel better together. And that's really true, right?
Yeah.
Like we can't do this alone.
Absolutely. Yeah, I so feel you on that, and that whole process of going on your own journey and then transmuting that into your way of helping others. I always like to say our mess becomes our message, and that's like
I
the
love
greatest
that
way
phrase.
to
I've never
figure
heard
out.
that. I call
Yeah.
it the gift wrapped in poop, you know, like
There you
probably
go. Yeah.
less elegant than your message can be your message, but it's the same kind of idea of, you know,
Yeah.
this attitude of and this perspective of, you know, transformation of like using whatever is coming at us as raw material. My friend, a dear friend of mine early on, she was like, you know, you're like writing poetry and like, you know, becoming a really good, you know, teacher at all of this. She's like, I feel like that's the best sort of like life kung fu you could ever do. And it's taking whatever's coming at you and transforming it into something else. And
Yeah.
that started with a gift somebody else gave me of just saying, this is transformational.
Yeah.
You know,
Absolutely.
I don't feel that anything that I know, do, or say is mine. I'm just a vehicle for like the lessons that others have given me that I then pass on to other people.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's so true also about community and passing those lessons on and sharing. I think
Mhm.
that's been a huge part of learning for me, is just that, we've got to know when to ask for help, and then and know how to balance that, like receiving help and support, but also taking radical responsibility for our own, what we need to be doing and the resourcing and all of that. But letting someone like be that witness for you, letting people support you, and having a community is so, so valuable.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So with that being said, I would love to hear a little more about the Embody You community that you've created online for people. What kind of goes on there?
Sure. So it's kind of brand spanking new. It started with, on January 1st, I created Co-Regulation Nation, which is a free Facebook group that is super basic in the format of we just check in. We check in, we crack jokes, we hang out. And then when COVID came on, I started with my younger sister, who I joke is like the fairy version of me. She's a professional ballet dancer and just like a natural space holder. And so every Sunday, starting with the onset of COVID, when everybody was, really stressed and really isolated, we started to do Sunday Hangouts, and we still do them.
Mm,
Every Sunday at noon Eastern, we sit with our coffee, we check in. I'll lead like a resourcing meditation that's designed to actually connect us.
mm,
So it's like we kind of create, build, maintain these threads of connection that strengthen the group, whether the group joins or not. So we have a few hundred people in Co-Regulation Nation.
oh,
And on January 5th, I posted 2020 is the year of community. And I wrote, like, this is the year that we transform our isolation into connection. I had no idea what I was talking about. I feel like I've, low-key predicted a lot of stuff.
yeah.
And so the foundation for Embody You is this Co-Regulation Nation, which is this practice community for, living into the best of ourselves. And the next step was natural, was creating Embody You. I had the idea for Embody You like 4 years ago. I
Mm,
always envision it to be what it is now. It's just at the beginning right now. It's an integrated platform for self-study, for learning, for practice, body-mind practices, and for connection.
mm,
And so right now we are a live class platform. Everybody on board, I have 12 teachers, and everybody is in some form of, like a coaching or, therapeutic profession. So we've got body workers, we have, insight focused practitioners who have training in internal family systems or IFS. With yoga therapists and other, somatic healing people like myself. And we lead live classes every week. A lot of slower yoga. So like
mm,
yin yoga, long held, more mindfulness based work so that you can be with your whole body. Embody You is called Embody You because I'm our best client. Like I call myself client number one because I tend to get out of my body and into my head. And
mm,
that's very common, especially in Western culture. We're all like, walking like floating heads. And and so getting back into the body can be super uncomfortable. And it
mm.
takes a lot of compassion. And it's best done with, checking in with an experienced practitioner every once in a while. And so that's what the resource is there for. And so we have live classes on Zoom every week with a number of practitioners, and we're building up our library of class recordings. So that will be what's next. We're doing shorter recordings and guided meditations, things like that. That will be that have a more diverse array that includes perspectives from herbalism, psychology, mindfulness, Buddhism, all of those good things. So that's really the learning platform is what's next.
Oh,
So that people can, get the tools that they need to just live into a fuller, more healed version of themselves, learn what resources they need that might benefit from, seeking. In a nutshell, I would say Embody You is a therapist's best friend. Like we offer everything that your therapist wishes you were doing, right?
right.
So, it's like
Yes.
connecting, getting into your body, and learning and getting empowered
Mm,
about your own healing journey. So those things, it's like this therapy complement. It's definitely could never replace it, but
yeah.
it's designed to complement the therapeutic process.
Awesome. It's so cool. I'm so excited about that community. And I love that like buffet style where people who are new to all these different things but are starting to kind of wake up to the value and the possibility can just kind of go in and check things out and get a really,
Mhm.
relaxed kind of style of approach to just dipping their toes into different things and seeing what works and what feels good for them. So I think that's
Yeah,
so
and
cool.
thank you. I like the way you put it. There's so many different ways into self-embodiment, into to getting connected with your resources. And
Yeah.
some people might need what I call a fancy nap. They might need restorative yoga. They might need to stretch and like be with their own discomfort and build resilience in a slow, steady way. They might need trauma-informed yoga where they're actually like getting pretty physical and moving
Mm,
some energy. They may want to learn about authentic yoga philosophy and connect in that way through community and through like that spirit self.
mm,
So yeah, there are a lot of ways in, and we do our best to offer a few paths of breadcrumbs back to that bright happy self that it's not the place where we naturally live. We live in our head, we live in anxiety, we live in depression, we live out of balance. And the point is never to just like be calm and like spiritually bypass discomfort. It's to be with discomfort with skill, and know where to return. As long as we're
mhm,
living, we're going to be hitting bumps. And so Embody is designed to help people learn like where to return when the
mm.
Weeble, rewrites itself.
Yeah, I love that. Awesome. And then for anyone who is really curious more specifically about the somatic healing,
Mhm.
that coaching work that you do, and they, want to learn more about that, what would you recommend for those people?
Sure, they can go to my website. It's RebeccaPolan.com. And that is a place to get access to my free healing map, which shows all the different layers from, like the outer behaviors down to the wound and core belief
Mhm.
layers and the body imprint that happens in between. Um, I also offer a complimentary consult so people can check in with me, let me know what they think they need, and yeah, I'm accessible, available to have like a one-on-one conversation. If if folks want to work with me, I call myself a catalyst, not a therapist, and it's usually kind of like that pivot that I told you my friend gave me 6 years ago. Um, It'll probably be a embodied deep dive where we'll be
Mhm.
in mindfulness together, to tend to an old unmet need that is presents as a block or a behavior that keeps us stuck. And we'll work. It may take one session. The most it usually takes is six.
Mhm.
And then I just send you off and running. Like it's my favorite part is like watching somebody like not need me anymore. It's like I'm just designed to like put myself out of business over and over. Just go, 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 go. Get out of the nest. It's so cool. So yeah, I
Yes.
love doing it, obviously.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for coming here today and sharing some of yourself, your story, and your work with us. It's really such an honor to have you here. And I did the free consult for anyone who's wondering, and I loved it. So I'm really excited to work with you too.
Oh, thank you, Caroline.
Um,
I'm excited to have a little map from talking with you, and I appreciate
yeah.
your vulnerability, and I want to honor that and you sharing that we work together. And I feel like I've, met a colleague in this work, and I'm excited about that.
Yes. Yeah, I love the way we align and resonate with the work that we do. And it's just such a testament to the fact that we are on that human level and we all have work to do. We all have healing and growth and transformation to keep doing. It never ends. So,
Yeah, I wrote a poem right at the beginning of all of this, at the beginning of COVID. We take
mm,
turns. We
yeah,
take turns being the hot mess. We take turns being the support, right? Like that's
yeah,
it. It's just that simple. We're all just supporting each other and being the experts of ourselves.
yeah. Well, thank you so much. And for anyone who is watching here, feel free to say hi in the comments, or if you're watching the replay, you can drop a hashtag replay. And if you're interested in connecting with Rebecca, she is ready and available to do coaching with you. And also, you're more than welcome to join on her Embody You community. And if you're interested in seeing more of the interviews in this series or seeing more of the work I do helping people as well, you're welcome to join my Manifest Your Best Life Facebook group. And if you are interested in becoming an entrepreneur or expanding as a compassionate leader in this world, I would love to invite you into my conscious entrepreneurship community as well. So please feel free to reach out to me or Rebecca on anything that you'd like more of. And we hope you have a beautiful day.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.